Hello everybody and welcome back to another World of Warships Legends video. Today's topic is going to be the new Tier 8 steel cruiser USS Salem, Wargaming's newest, biggest balancing fail. It's available in the Forge right now for 25,000 steel, however I wouldn't recommend buying it just yet as it's going to be nerfed, let's be honest. There's no way Wargaming is going to let this thing last in its current state for any much longer, probably. Now for our commander, we are running Norman Scott with double fire, punch-free, fixated, fully packed, and for our inspirations we are using Nikolai von Essen and Francesco Membelli. Nikolai von Essen for the extra ricochet angle bonus, which is of course a strong suit of most American ships having sometimes stupid pen angles, particularly on the cruisers such as this one. And Francesco Membelli of course did a boost to our reload. Notice how I haven't taken beyond range, and normally I would, however, for circumstances like most US cruisers that have very floaty shells, my aim isn't necessarily bad, I would say, but I tend to struggle. Anything past about 16 kilometers in these cruisers, then I just can't hit anything. So personally I don't bother, but if you've got competent aim, then I would recommend it. I'm going to take a shot at that eye wherever they're utilising our very nice firing arcs. For our upgrades we are using aiming systems mod, we are using propulsion, we are using concealment and reload. Pretty much your standard setup here. Now you've probably heard a lot of hype around this ship recently, and is the hype justified? Absolutely, this ship is completely broken, 100%. This is a Des Moines that's better at tier 8. Now I don't know what Wargaming's thinking doing this, making this decision, but take a Des Moines, give it the pre-nerf reload Des Moines used to have, which is about 4.5 seconds-ish. Then give it its 40-second radar back, but maybe just slightly decrease the range a bit, just tad down to 8.5 where it is on the Salem. They've removed its sonar, or you can still take the sonar, but we have to sacrifice the radar. And they've given it DFAA. They've decided that Des Moines would be better at tier 8 with a super heal as well. So this thing's got a ridiculous super heal that something like the British heavy cruisers would get. More like the Edinburgh or something, or a Minotaur. One of those. On top of that, and lastly, you have 30mm side plating, so you can bounce all 16-inch guns off your side, whereas Des Moines can't. Your nose is still 27 though, so you do have to keep that in mind, because you won't be able to bounce that off of your nose, but you will off your sides if the enemy can't aim and you angle sufficiently. Shooting at that Salem a bit there, I think we're going to get a fire with this salvo. Yeah, there it is. We're going to sneak into A here to get this cap. And just takes a shot, does get a pretty nasty hit there for 10k. Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. It's a pretty big mistake on my part for not noticing he was there. And, oh yeah, one other thing. This ship, because it's new and also because it's busted, so I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, it is going to get focused, and that's not going to change at all. Unless they nerf this ship like they did with Des Moines, then you are going to get focused the second you are spotted to the second you die. If the enemy has the ability to shoot you, they will. And normally this would not be very warranted, but I grant an exception in Salem's case, because if there's a Salem on the enemy team, it needs to die, because otherwise it's going to wreak absolute havoc. Use our firing angles to set a fire on the Veneto there. We've got our Charles Martel, our friendly Charles Martel there off to my port side. He's going to be good and helpful, though I would say particularly cocky this battle. He maybe takes a few too many risks and it comes back to bite him. Now we've switched the armor piercing here as you normally should with the US heavy cruisers, or actually cruisers in general. We're going to start chunking this Veneto. Oh, I like Bismarck's gone down there. Now, just like how the US heavy cruisers have nonsense ricochet angles, and that stays true with Salem, I believe I'm probably wrong on this, but having played Salem and then played Des Moines, Salem's actual AP pen feels a lot worse. You tend to shatter a bit on things that Des Moines normally wouldn't. Yeah, well, we're getting over 4k salvo here on this Finito. He's not lasting long at all. He's gone. Just the Iowa now. Now I'm going to make what is possibly a rather large blunder here. That is, I'm going to pop the radar and I'm going to try and finish that Iowa because he is already on low health. But in doing so, I'm going to have to be within 3 kilometers of guns that can absolutely demolish me in a single salvo. And that hurt. Enemy A gear over there. We really don't want them to be here, so we're already backing up. Now you may have noticed, you might be oh, and there goes another one. You might be looking at the scoreboard right now as we finish off the Iowa. We've lost all of our battleships. They are all dead. All the battleships that were at the middle spawn or the right side and the Bismarck that was with us have all died. The people at right side abandoned the flank and all funneled themselves into B. You can see where they died on a map now, where they've just been torpedoed by the Yugumo and whatnot, who's already picked up a Witherer. This Yugumo is going to be a pain in the neck for the rest of this battle as well. Now, this A gear makes a mistake, okay? His mistake is he's fighting Salem. He doesn't make really any actual errors here. I believe he goes broadside to launch his torps, though, at the Charles Martel, who's already being incredibly ballsy. That Salem, who's already lost the turret permanently, actually, is giving us just too much angle. And we're going to punish him after that salvo, which fell completely short for some reason. Going to pick up the yoink on that A gear there. And this Salem. Now, this Salem thinks he can angle, but this is a Salem. We're on a Salem, he's in a Salem. Which means we're just going to start... I got a Sistel there as well, I did get 9k. We will start just choking each other. There you go, I took out his turret, he's taken out one of mine. And you can see with that shot there, something else that Salem seems to actually suffer from is that, I'm probably wrong again, I'm just schizophrenic or something, but the dispersion on Salem seems to be significantly worse than Des Moines. In fact, I don't even know if it's... Well, it is cruiser dispersion, it's absolutely cruiser dispersion. But it's definitely not as good as most cruisers, I think. You can get a lot of iffy shots, and sometimes your aim can be completely fine and you'll still miss entirely for just absolutely no reason. I'm going to switch back to the AP here to try and see if we can knock out some of his turrets. You can see that Charles Martel pushing a Salem, which is not something I'd do, to be honest. He's going to take the risk of firing his torps there, I think. Charles Martel manages to kill the Salem. Now, we're about equal on number of ships here, but the enemy team has got the points and now has the caps, as they have just taken B. So, all we've got here is me, the Charles Martel, and another cruiser who's behind me, and we've got 2 destroyers who are currently at the bottom of the map, and really aren't going to do anything for the rest of this battle. And the enemy Kansas turns up there. Now, the Kansas, again, is a problem, much like the Iowa, because he can just punch directly through our bow and just absolutely shred us if we're not careful. And the enemy cruiser, which is an Amalfi, he's going to make some questionable decisions. Now, I believe our Charles Martel is probably going to kick the bucket here in a minute. I think he's set fire on Kansas at least. Yeah, there you go. Talked by the Yugumo. Told you he's going to be a pain in the neck, and that's not the last we are going to see of him. And he's talked us, and he's also doing the cheeky shot as he goes behind the island there. I overloaded the armor piercing because this is absolutely what's going to work on this Kansas here. Never mind, we have switched back to the high explosive here at some point during the jump cut because the Kansas has angled in, but I believe we're going to switch back fairly shortly. We get a fire. He puts it out, which means I'm actually going to continue to sling high explosive at him to see if we can set another one, because he has put out one fire. Very foolish mistake. Everyone knows not to do this, or everyone should know not to do this, but apparently some people don't. We've got an allied A gear coming in here. Kansas takes a shot, but we managed to take most of it on the belt and some on the islands, which we've used to partially cover our battle there. So when we take about 4k, we pop our heal. It's our last heal as well. This is as much health as we're going to have for the rest of the battle. And we just load the armor piercing here to try and get some chunk damage now that he's on fire in order to finish him. The allied A gear eating 3 easily avoidable torpedoes from the enemy Amalfi. Now this Amalfi is in a very difficult situation right now. He's fighting an A gear and a Salem, which is 2 cruisers with very good armor piercing, and he's over-angling a lot there. There's the double citadel picking up the Confederate and high caliber as our A gear goes down. After the Amalfi sets him on fire because that is a high explosive Amalfi for some reason. And even though the Amalfi is angled here, we do still chunk him for about 4k the previous salvo. Now annoyingly, the Yugumo does actually hit us there and he sets us on fire, and with not much health left we're going to have to put that out. Melee armor piercing as the Amalfi's turning broadside again. Apparently he didn't learn his lesson last time. We get another double citadel there. Fire again, but he gets away with it and he stays alive for just a little bit longer. We're just going to try and slip into B here to try and hold the enemy's point gain, because at this point they are going to win on points at this point. That should be the salvo that finishes the Amalfi with a citadel there, and also the Kraken, which I hadn't even been keeping count of our kills throughout this. He sets us on fire with his last salvo, which is very typical. So I think you can already imagine what's going to happen at this point. Our 2 destroyers have been chasing the enemy Bismarck around for about the past 6-7 minutes. I just popped my radar here to try and get the Yugumo, but he is on the very verge of our radar range. But he does actually open fire, so it's going to be spotted for a bit longer. He set him on fire again there. You can see that dispersion there, very wonky, I have to say. He set smoke, and unfortunately at this point the battle is over. We're not going to kill the Yugumo. The Bismarck, I think he's actually going to live. No, actually no, I think he's going to die in this battle. And as nothing's going to happen for the rest of this battle, I'm just going to skip to the end here. As you can see here, a pretty sad ending to what is otherwise a very good battle here. We do, I think it's 173,000 damage with 4 medals there. We pick up the Dreadnought off screen just because the game ends and that Bismarck did die. Of course, getting top of our team, and well, that's really it, to be honest. Next game. For our second game here, we are on the map The Atlantic. This is a full up tier. We are one of the only tier 8 ships in this game, but that doesn't matter because Des Moines is a legendary ship. There is 1 destroyer on each team and no carriers. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this map, and I know most people aren't, especially when I'm playing, oh, I don't know, say a high tier cruiser that easily gets deleted if you're not looking or paying attention. I spawned with an allied battleship and a camoless Napoli over there. He's actually going to be somewhat useful in a moment. Now, my original plan here is to head north to try and head off any enemy ships, or indeed the destroyer that are trying to flank round the top. But we're actually going to change our mind here. And we're actually going to drive pretty much to where I'm looking at right now, at some point, roughly. We're just going to turn in. Now, nothing much really happens at the start of this game. In fact, surprisingly for a Tier 8 Legendary Tier game, there are a lot of cruisers, which you normally don't see. I mean, the enemy team themselves have got 6, so... I mean, we've got 7. There's only one battleship on our team, and it's lucky he spawned with us. Our Napoli sets smoke here to try and push in, presumably because he's been spotted, which is why he's being shot at. We're going to utilise this smoke to try and push up ourselves here. Oh, there's an enemy Des Moines here. I believe there are 2 Des Moines in this game, if I'm not mistaken. Because there's one there and there's one where I'm looking now, behind that island. I use my horn here to try and alert the allied Napoli to not crash into me, which thankfully he actually does, and he actually slows down and turns in, which is actually bizarrely attentive for an allied teammate. Now we're going to load armor piercing here because there are some lovely broadside shots here we can get on the enemy ships. That ship there, I think it's the Worcester, gets paddled. And he's going to get paddled some more before we get shooted him. Now we've got a very poor Alaska who's made the horrible mistake of having Salem on the enemy team. Poor him. So we have obviously got the armor piercing loaded, and we're going to get straight to farming this guy. And he's not going to enjoy it one bit. Now that you can see that Worcester there is on low health, so we decide to I get to shoot one turret before we lose the target lock because it goes undetected, so you're going to get one shot off. And I'd land one citadel and get the kill. Great. Now we've switched to high explosive now that the Alaska's turned in here. I think he might eat some torps. No, he's dodged them. I'm going to get straight to work and setting this guy ablaze as well. Now, this battle has almost been going on for 10 minutes, but so far it hasn't been particularly eventful. We're fairly equal on ships. We've got a 1 kill lead so far, and only cruisers have died. Now, I know if we're going to continue to push this flank, which we are, because we've got a massive advantage here, that I'm going to... Oh well, I'm going to try and get that Des Moines. That Des Moines over there, he's going to be annoying. If we can't push unless that Des Moines is gone, he's going to kill our destroyer. He's going to absolutely destroy me and the allied Montana here. So I've already decided he just needs to go. Now, I actually make a very risky call here by shooting the main, because I actually think he's got his turrets turned the other way, and then I realise as the sun reflects off of his guns that no, he's actually looking directly towards me, and turn out in a bit of a panic here. Since I'm already spotted, there's no point in continuing to fire. And here's where our gun range actually comes in handy, because we go unspotted before he can take a shot at us, which I presume he would, because I'm a Salem, and you need to kill Salems. Reload the armor piercing, and we're going to try and ambush this enemy Des Moines. Now I have revealed my location to the enemy Des Moines. He knows that I'm coming around, at least if he's looking this way. Or at his minimap, but not that many people do. Now my plan is most definitely here to go round, have him flat broadside, and just put maybe 2 salvos into him and just kill him immediately. But that's not what's going to happen. It's going to be a bit more interesting. And all of a sudden, enemy Des Moines turns up. Almost completely stern on, but not quite stern on enough. We smash him, 3 citadels. We get a 4.5 second reload. He tries desperately to go forward, so we smash him again for 4 citadels. He's finally gotten underway, but it's too late. And that's 8 citadels, and he is gone. Salem, everybody. Well balanced. We reload the high explosive, and that's pretty much, well, that's more than, I think that's more than doubled our damage in just a matter of about 10-ish seconds there. And this enemy flank has collapsed completely. All the enemies are now bunched up in the south. So I'm already thinking this is pretty much a good battle already. This is fine enough, but it's going to get more interesting from here on out, to be honest. Now, if we look at the positioning of all the people in this game, I've now got a while to go, the Montana's now got a while to go to catch up to the enemies. We've got a cruiser. I don't know if it's the Napoli from the start of the game, who's currently sitting in the middle of our base, about as far away from the battlefield as possible. But, I don't know. Our destroyers moved into their base, so the enemy's going to be forced to try and come back this way. And I too am not going to slip into the base here, because I have made a critical decision. I know the enemy Yamato and maybe the other cruiser. Actually, I don't know. I think the other cruiser goes back towards our base actually. But I know that the enemy's going to try and counter push us here, and possibly the enemy main who's still kiting might turn around. So I've turned myself to the right, and I'm going to try and get as close to that island I'm steaming towards as possible. Which is also why I'm not firing my guns, so obviously I don't get shot before I get into this position. Now I noticed the enemy Yamato's had a shot there. So I'm going to take the opportunity to start unloading my guns. And this guy is going to burn quickly. There's the first fire. I think he actually puts in out there. Salvo from the main, which, to be honest, I didn't even see because of the lighting. After the jump cut here, we set another fire on Yamato. He gets his guns off. And luckily only manages to pen 1 shell there. And the other ones don't quite go where he wanted them to go, I think. We're going to work on trying to set this guy on fire a 3rd time here. Or a 2nd time. The enemy Petra, I believe, at this point, pops his radar, and yeah, there you go. He's shooting with a destroyer there, which is going to reset our base cap. Which, honestly, I am thankful for, because I'm greedy, and I want damage. We set this Yamato on fire again. Now we're going to aim low here because we intentionally want to hit his bow to try and set him on fire on his bow. Even though at this point there is not really a lot of point doing it because, yeah, he's gone. And next on the menu is the Petro. The enemy Alaska, which did actually push up all the way to our base, has been taken out there. Which means there is no longer any risk whatsoever of us losing this game. So I just decided to go full on balls to the walls and push the Petro, which is risky, but I am not going to show any kind of side whatsoever to this guy because of Petro's angles. I'm going to stay as steeply angled as possible whilst hoping that he's or knowing that he's not going to go into our citadel here. Got some pretty nice dispersion on that Petro, very cool. One ricochet. Our Petro's not got a lot of health, and we've got a lot of DPM. So, just like the Armata before him, this guy's going to die particularly quickly. There's another fire. He's probably not enjoying it right now. There's the high caliber. There's another fire. Yeah, so this Petro's burning bright, and he can't put it out. So he's got about 5k health left, and we're gonna kill him with that salvo, I think. Now this just leaves the main, who's on low health, and the gearing, and we have no idea where the gearing is. Now I open up here at the main with our armor piercing to try and chunk him. We do get a lot of shatters despite aiming high enough because I believe the ship does have less pen than Des Moines, or at least it feels like it. Then I think it's this next salvo here, or the one afterwards, maybe. I don't even know. Or the one after that. But we make a massive blunder here. Or partially our fault. I zoom out too early, or I don't know if there might have been a bit of desync there with me pulling the trigger, but that salvo, we miss it. Yeah, we just shoot the rock. So that's a bit of a shit to the brain, tiny brain moment. We fire a sniper fire explosive, then we did the armor piercing. But the game's already up, and the Kraken, yoink, and that's our Kraken stolen. So normally at this point, if I had a stolen Kraken, I'd normally be spamming negative, but the enemy gearing there eats some torpedoes that weren't even meant for him, which ends the game before I can pick up said Kraken. Which is a shame because we could have had 2 Kraken games in a row for a review, which would have been nice. Overall, 186,000 damage for the USS Salem. Yeah, this ship is... these aren't even the best games. I have had better games already. I just haven't recorded them, unfortunately. And I can guarantee you some people like Chili Games or Where Are You, Aaron, have definitely already uploaded high damage games. And I expect the damage record for the ship possibly has already broken 300k, or at least it's rapidly approaching it. Overall, should you get Salem? This might sound bizarre, seeing as how much I've done nothing but praise Salem for this entire video, but I think you should wait. I don't think there's a lot of point spending 25,000 steel on a tier 8 Des Moines, better Des Moines even, only for Wargaming to nerf it the next update. If I were you, the viewer, I would personally wait maybe a month or maybe 2, see if Wargaming acknowledges any kind of error they might have made in, well, I don't know, Salem being overcooked in their words, and hit it with the ban hammer and make it completely redundant immediately. But overall, stupidly overpowered, probably going to get nerfed, and I might make a video on the Salem again if it does get nerfed, and I will make a video on whether it's even worth the 25,000 steel asking price, because that's just not a cheap asking price at all. I mean, the Missouri was about 30,000 before that got reduced. Wouldn't recommend getting the Missouri though, to be honest. Overall, I rate this ship a solid busted as shit out of 10. I hope you liked the video. If you did, like, subscribe, yada yada yada, typical YouTuber things. Bye bye, toodaloo, au revoir.